Good morning, everybody. So we are getting ready to start the front suspension on the Merc. All the brakes are done now, all mounted up, ready to go. And so we're getting ready to put in the classic Performance Products front A-arm kit and disc brake kit that they sell. They're the only ones that sell a kit for this car that's a direct bolt-on. Otherwise, you have to use the factory A-arms with the factory old uprights, which are not very favorable. Much rather have a spindle on it, so that way parts are readily available. They use a Granada spindle and brakes on it, so if you ever have an issue, you can go to any parts store and you can readily get parts available anywhere for that, or online you can get the parts. If you want to buy the parts for this front suspension, only a couple people make them, and they're very pricey, and if you have an issue driving down the road somewhere, you're not going to be able to pull into an auto parts store and buy them, that's for sure. So this is actually a great way to upgrade your front suspension on this. And it also has a 2-inch drop in the A-arm. So that helps, with lowering it, because the Granada spindles are not offered in a lowered spindle. Fat Man's used to make them, but they've closed down now, so you cannot get them. So this kit is the only kit that I found that is out there that is actually made for this car. So we're going to give it a shot on here. Classic Performance, their products are nice. I like their stuff. I've used it tons of times on lots of projects, and I've always had good luck with their stuff. It's never an issue. So we're going to make sure that we give a good review of this setup as we put it on the car. And it might be a good option for you, moving forward. It's not cheap. It's a couple grand. It's about $2,300 for the setup. But, you get the A-arms, you get the brakes, it's a whole complete setup. Rotors, calipers, the whole deal. So for these types of cars, that's kind of the best way to go. You really don't want to clip it if you don't have to. It's just unnecessary to clip it. If you can change the A-arms and get modern style A-arms and ball joints and brakes on it, there's really no reason to clip the car. Just leave it like it is. There's nothing wrong with it, doing it that way. The kit, the way it comes, is set up with coils, okay, like normal stock coils. We are going to airbag it, so the A-arms do come. I'll show you the A-arms. So they do come with the the spring pocket, so you can bolt the spring and a shock in it. So you can either cut this plate out and make your own plate, or you can adapt to this plate, and that's what we're going to do. These come powder coated, so I'll make a plate that actually mounts to this for the airbag to sit on. So that's what we'll do. You can see the quality is good. It's nice. Everything is good on these things. It's set up so you can still run a bump stop, a sway bar if you want to. The front A-arms, they already, they're same thing. Newer ball joints, the whole deal, all powder coated. It comes with these upper plates, and these are like adapter plates. So this actually bolts onto the upper mount, the factory mount. Down just a little bit. So this bolts to the factory mount like so, and then the arrow mounts to it like that. Okay. Comes with all the hardware. Comes with these plates, so it comes with everything you need. It's a nice kit. I like it a lot. I think it's the way to go for sure for this thing. So I'm going with these bags on the front. So I know they make, everybody has their own opinion on airbags, and there's a lot of airbags out there that you can choose from. You can use Slam Specialties. These are Torx. You can use Firestone, which I really like. You can use Universal Air. They make nice airbags. They also make a single bellow bag. I just, with this particular car and the style, the suspension, I've done hundreds of these different kinds of cars and trucks, and these bags work the best for this. And the reason why I say that is that a lot of people, they might want to put a slam bag. Well, that's fine. The slam bag is smaller in diameter. If you get the bigger one, you have to get a much bigger one, and the bag is like 3 times the price. And then you have to put a lot more air in it to more air pressure, which is fine for some applications, but for this one, I prefer these bags. You don't have to run that much air pressure in them. They ride really nice, and these bags will last. I mean, they'll last forever. So not forever, but I mean, you know what I mean. So these bags will be in there for a long time. You're going to get, if you take care of them and, you know, and check them every once in a while, the worst thing that'll happen to them is that, you know, just like any rubber, if it gets in weather, they'll start to get a little cracks and dry rot on them. And using the slam bags, I've used tons of those, and I've ran into problems with those cracking and dry rotting right away, like within a couple of years. And the type of rubber they use, I'm not sure, but the Firestones, Conitex, and these, that doesn't happen. It lasts a lot longer, closer to 10 years before that starts happening. So I just prefer those. You can use whatever you want to use. Just remember that the smaller diameter bag you use, the more air you got to put and the worse ride you're going to get. The bigger diameter bag you can put in there, the less air, the better ride you're going to get and more lift. So that's kind of what you want to get out of this. You know, you want to ride nice. So that's what I'm running on the front of this thing. You can make any of that stuff work however you want to make it work. And that'll all work. So it's just whatever your preference is, whatever you choose to use. All right. So that's the kit right there. So we're going to go ahead and pull the front suspension off this thing and start to get it all figured out of what we're going to do and how low it needs to go to lay the frame on the ground to match the rear. And just follow along, check it out. If you have a Merc or you want to do a Merc, you know, so I'm kind of wanting to do the videos on this just because if you go on the internet, there's really nothing. Like there's no stuff on Mercs anywhere. I did want to cover, like, even on the brakes. Let me show this real quick. All right. So let me see if I can see good enough. I think you can see good enough. So all the brakes are all installed. The rear brake lines are all plumbed all the way back. I put a Willwood proportioning valve on it here so that way you can adjust the pressure to the rear of the car. That way you can dial in wherever you want. So every brake system is a little bit different, and it's just depending on, you know, sometimes the rear brakes are going to want to lock up soon, and you have to adjust the pressure down to choke it down. And then you can dial in kind of right where you like it. All right, so it's always important. I always like to run an adjustable proportioning valve to the rear brakes. All this stuff is all hooked up and ready to go. It's got the remote fill on here. It's above the frame, so we're good to go there. So kind of wanted to show, I guess what I wanted to talk about a little bit is that, yeah, we're starting on the front suspension. We've already done the brake stuff, but here's the deal. I can't find anywhere on the internet, not anywhere on YouTube or anything, where they show an under the brake booster, under the frame, brake booster install anywhere. So it was just kind of, I was surprised about that because most hot rods, this is where you put them, like 99% of them. Most people don't want this in the motor compartment where you see it all. This car, we could have done that. It was a lot, I mean, it would have been, you know, a one-day job. But when you open the hood, there it is. And on this car, it's not a show car, so it would be fine. But, you know, it just looks so much nicer in there, you know, with this not in there. So, yes, it's a lot more work to put it under here. But at the end of the day, I like it better. And most of these cars, this is where they end up going. I've done a lot of them this way. So I was just a little surprised that there's not any of this install, not just for Mercury's, but for other cars too. I don't see anybody with any install under here and doing it. I don't know why, but that's kind of why I wanted to do it. So check out the videos of installing all of this, and you can kind of see how it is. And, you know, that it all is tucked up under the frame now, and that you can do this to your car too and keep everything under there, keep your motor compartment clean. You can, you know, you might have to do some linkages like this depending on your car, but if it's an automatic, you don't have to do all this. It actually comes with a pedal already, and you know, it's a lot easier to install, but this particular one is not, so it's a little bit more difficult. But you can check out the YouTube channel and see the install on all this. So here's the front suspension, which is, let's go over here so you can see a little bit better. Front suspension obviously is pretty basic, right? So this factory sway bar will not be being reused on this car. The way it mounts, okay, it's not what we need to use, and it's also, look how tiny it is, you know. So A lot of times we pull the sway bars off of these cars as long as you run the bags individually. I prefer to have a sway bar on if they work, or if somebody wants to put them on. This car, particular one's not going to have it. You don't need to have it. I mean, it does work better. Let's be honest, it does. So it depends on if they want to put one on or not. It's up to the customer. Even on mini trucks, a lot of mini trucks I've done, I've re-put the sway bars back on. It's just, they handle so much nicer with a sway bar, obviously. So, but not, it's a lot of work to put a sway bar back on with an airbag in there. So, so when we're all said and done, we will see where that all falls with this. You can kind of see the, the factory setup. You know, you can see the uprights here. These are the uprights. All right, so how they run through here. Okay, so with the kingpin setup in the front, it's just old school. So that's why we're going to be changing it to all spindles and disc brakes. So we'll get the A-arm stuff installed first, and then we'll go to the brakes and throw the brakes all on and set it all up and bag it. So that's pretty much it. This car is bone stock up in the front. Actually, I mean, it's bone stock, but they heated the coils or cut them a little bit. It was lowered just like 2 inches. So stay tuned, check it out, see if you like it. Hopefully it'll be something that you that helps you along with your ride. Oh yeah, you can see right here, sorry. You can see where they heated the coils. They're all wonk. So, but look at this side, it's not even like that. It's different. So anyway, it's all good. So another thing you need to think about is whenever you do all this front end, you need to make sure that the rims, the lug pattern is going to be different, like on this car. So you have to change the rims. And also you need to make sure you have the proper size rim to fit the disc brakes, because the 14-inch rims will not fit the disc brakes. You have to go to 15-inch rims. So that's something to think about also. It's another added expense. So just make sure you understand that, and that the lug pattern in the front may be different than the rear if you leave the stock rear end in it. If you have a forward rear end or whatever, then you're set. These will be the same lug pattern as that, so you won't have to mess with that. So anyway, just things to think about. Check it out, and so we'll get started on this thing and follow along and check it out and see if this is something you guys want to do to your cars. All right, getting ready to blow the front suspension apart on this thing so you can kind of get a better look. The A-arms are kind of funky looking, right? So disconnect your brake lines, obviously. Just the basic stuff. I'm gonna fast forward this thing just because, I mean, you don't need to see me unbolting every single little nut and bolt on this thing, but give you a kind of idea of what you're dealing with under here. It's not bad. We'll see if the A-arm clears this or not. I'm not sure. Might have to trim it out, which, it's not a big deal if you need to, but so just remember to whenever you pull the springs out, drop the A-arms, just make sure that you you remember they're under a lot of tension, right? So be careful. I'm sure most of you are experienced that are doing this, but there might be somebody who's doing it for the first time. So pull the shock off first, and then whenever you go to drop off the pull the uprights loose or your spindle on anything that you do, have a jack underneath it, and then lower it down so you can pull the spring out, because if you don't, that spring pressure will just blow apart and hurt you. So make sure you do that, and the rest of it's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to go through some fast forward stuff on this and pull this front end off. And also, another tip, don't do both sides at once. Pull one side off and fit it all up to make sure it's all good. That way when you go to the other side, you kind of know what you're dealing. And if you ever need to look at anything, you kind of still have it together to do that. So don't try to blow every single thing apart. Just blow one side apart at a time. All right? All right, cool. We'll go through and do that. Okay, so here's all the suspension off on the driver's side. I left the A-arm, spindle, everything connected, and then I just took off the took off the top bolt that goes to the upright. And once I did that, I pulled all the lower suspension off. And then that way you can lift up the A-arm and access these bolts because they're a little tight to get to right there. So so definitely make sure that you do that, and it make it a lot easier to get it out. So that's pretty much it right there. So it's all out. That's kind of what it looks like. Everything's off and it's all ready to go. So that's a good starting point. So now we'll go ahead and do the other side. All right, we're getting ready to cut off the bump stop mounts here in the front. Got a couple things marked with red paint. Got to knock off these rivets, cut the bracket off here, both sides. And then once that's done, you can see those right there. Cut it off under here, right there. Once that's done, you can see where we're going to have to cut. Get under here with the air body saw and cut around here to give us clearance for the A-arms, since they'll be lifted up 2 inches. Since these are everything is dropped 2 inches on this, so it gives you 2 inch lower. But we got to have room for the A-arm, so we'll start with this cut that out, and then once that's all cut out right there, then we'll go ahead and test fit the A-arms and go ahead and get those on there and make sure everything looks good. And then that way I can figure out pretty much where the bag, the cup size is going to be for this thing, how much I need to trim, if any, of this pocket. And also I need to figure out for shock location. On these old cars, what I've done in the past, I've actually went behind the frame here and notched this out and then boxed it in, like with a round piece of metal tube, or roll it, cut this out and make a tab up on the top. And I've actually ran the shock on the inside of the frame down to the A-arm, so that way it will never rub the tire, and you have full turn lock to lock and good shock location on these, and they ride amazing. I've done it on a whole bunch of Cadillacs and older Chevys whenever you use this stock style suspension. So that's what we're gonna do next. Let's go ahead and do that. Get these cut off first, and then we'll open the hood, move anything out of the way that needs to be done for here. We'll get that all trimmed out of there also. So that's cut off. Just take your time when you cut this stuff off. Don't cut into the frame. Leave a little extra so you can grind it down. Because I don't know yet whether I'm going to have to cut out too much of this or not. So I'd rather not have to be welding and filling spots back in. So just cut those off, knock them off real quick. You can knock down the rivets. I'll re-weld those holes back up so there's no holes there. And now we'll hop into the motor compartment and move out anything that needs to be moved and get in there and start trimming out the fender wells. So that's cut off. Just take your time when you cut this stuff off. Don't cut into the frame. Leave a little extra so you can grind it down. Because I don't know yet whether I'm going to have to cut out too much of this or not. So I'd rather not have to be welding and filling spots back in. So just cut those off, knock them off real quick. You can knock down the rivets. I'll re-weld those holes back up so there's no holes there. And now we'll hop into the motor compartment and move out anything that needs to be moved and get in there and start trimming out the fender wells. All right, here we are. Now that we cut all the inner fender well out for the A-arms clearance, so you can kind of see what we did there. You got to be careful, make sure, because there was hoses and wires, so I had to move them out of the way and put something there to make sure it covered it, covered it up so that I didn't hit anything with the saw. I always go through with the cutoff wheel just a little at a time, just barely poke through, so that way I know that there's nothing on the other side. You don't want to jam the saw or that all the way back in there and hit anything. So that's kind of what it looks like once you get it all cut out. So the other side, Now, this is just to start with. Once you put everything in, if you need to make any adjustments, you can, but I always try to start with the smallest amount first. And depending on if we end up doing the shocks up here, I'll have to cut that out. But for now, I just cut out the minimum, and then we will go from there. This is kind of where a lot of people put the shocks back here, but on these cars with the steering the way it is, brake lines where they are, the way that the wheel turns, whenever you turn the wheel, it hits. So like I said, I try to run them inboard and notch the frame and box all the frame back in. So we'll see if that'll work on this particular one. I've done them on these cars with the stock arms, but not with this. So as long as it works with this one, that's what we'll do. So that's where we are. Next step is to go ahead and we're gonna have to cut out all the inner lip around this guy right here so the bag will fit in. Trim that out, and then we'll have to trim a little up here for the arm to go all the way down, so that way it lays all the way out. Get all that trimmed out, and then we'll throw the arms up on there and start test fitting everything. All right, we are putting the rear sensors on this thing. All the ride height sensors, trying to find a good location for them. And it's not as easy as you would think, just because you got to find somewhere to mount them, or nothing's going to be in the way, the exhaust, all this stuff. But anyway, I got them all kind of mounted on there where they need to go. Everything is kind of done. I just got to wire them up. I didn't film all that just because, I mean, it's super time consuming. I got like a full day in just getting them all in there working. You have to cycle the suspension many, many times just to make sure everything's right. And so I'll just kind of show you real quick where they are, what they look like, and then we'll lift the car up again so you can see them cycle through the suspension. So here's where they are. On this car, worked out good here to the bars. I actually made plates that mount to the body there. It was the best spot. There was just too much stuff over here on the side of the frame. The exhaust was gonna be coming through here, and the only other place was up there, and then it just didn't have enough throw to where I felt good about it. So this is down in the down position too, all the way. So it's all the way down, and I can't go any lower than this. So that's pretty much where we are right there. This is with the frame on the ground. So these are all mounted. All the put spacers in here. It comes with these little spacers. I just trimmed them. They didn't need to be that long. I just trimmed them. Used one. I cut them in half and used one on each side. It worked out perfect. And then this plate that's mounted is drilled in tap, so you can just undo the stainless hardware right here and take it off without having to go inside the car or anything. And I made these plates and I just riveted them into the body here, so they're all strong. And they ain't gonna go anywhere. So it's 3/16 plate, so it's plenty strong enough and enough bite to thread those in. So I'll go ahead and leave this here and cycle it up so you can kind of see how they work real quick. See that real fast. And right about there is, it's a little higher than ride height, but that right there is a little higher than ride height. And kind of what you're wanting is that these things just stay pretty, pretty straight. You don't want them binding because it'll break these off. It'll break the rods off. You don't want that. So these are all nice and straight right now. So that's how you kind of want those. So through the travel, you want to make sure that those stay decent and not bind up anywhere. All right, so here we go. That's all the way up right there off the stands. So at full max lift, you can still see. They're still not just a barely angle, so you can still turn them. It's all good. Nothing wrong with that. Same with this side, same thing. So yeah, so they all work good, and they're also, you got to make sure that they don't go past. There's the stops. I'll show you that real quick. So they come with the stops on them, and when you're assembling it all, these stops are here because you don't want to go past this and bang the stop. That means it's going too far whenever you go through the travel up and down. So these are just temporary. You put these on to set it up, and then when you're done, you just pop them off. But as you can see, I still have room there, and when it's down all the way, I got the same amount of room. So what's ideal is that the stroke of your suspension, this should actually be under that just a little bit so it doesn't bottom out these stops. And that you don't want this rod to be straight with this one there where it could actually go over center. So Anyway, so these came out pretty good. So those are done. So now I'm just gonna run the wires to them up here, and then you got to splice in the plugs again, and just, you have to cut them to fit. I mean, you could ball it all up like this if you wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. But you can. And then I'm going to go ahead and shorten the plugs, get those all mounted up, and then the rear, all that stuff is done. And then I can go ahead and finish cutting out the front suspension stuff for the airbags. So I just kind of stopped on that because I was waiting for a couple parts. So I figured I'd get these all mounted up in there now. So that way they're done. All right. So you can check that out. Like, if you're looking for, any AccuAir stuff, you can check out how all their stuff works on their webpage and what they have. But I don't see a lot of people showing the installs on this stuff and kind of how it goes. A lot of people are guests, So, I mean, anyway, so you can kind of see. I also drilled and tapped this right here, so it's drilled and tapped. So I like to do that with everything. I just don't like having nuts and stuff on the back of every single thing that's hard to get to in case you need to service it later. Obviously, if you can, that's fine, but this particular case, no. I want to be able to take them off easy if need to be. All right, so that's pretty much it. Cool.